Hello, my name is Arik Dorfman. I'm a PhD student at the School of Zoology at Tel Aviv University. I will talk about a recently published review paper in the journal called Animal Behavior on the topic of using spoor and field sign tracking as a zoological research method and on my usage of tracking in my research. So tracking is considered to be an ancient human skill dating back to the first hunter-gatherers. To this day, some cultures still rely on tracking as a tool for hunting. An interesting example is persistent hunting. This method was once widespread among bushmen to hunt large prey. In persistent hunt, a group of hunters sets off after a large prey item, usually a large herbivore, without any kind of equipment. As the animal runs away, the hunters follow at a moderate pace behind and use the tracks in the soil to follow it when it gets out of view. The hunters then follow the animal and startle it again and again until it collapses. So because the prey is usually much faster from the hunters than the hunters, their tracking skill is the key to the hunt success. As this method requires no equipment whatsoever, it was hypothesized to be very ancient and even one of the first hunting methods humans as a species used when they started hunting. If so, the skill of tracking is at least as old as that, as the success of this hunt is heavily dependent upon the ability of the hunters to track the prey again and again. So as a fundamental human skill, tracking was naturally used by early zoologists trying to spot animals in the wild. But in the last century, many researchers have used it as a proper scientific method as well. Tracking is being used as a main method to acquire information on the studied species, such as to describe behavioral patterns, habitat use, and all kinds of interaction between species like predation or competition. Nowadays, modern technologies like GPS tracking may seem to overshadow traditional spoor tracking. Indeed, in some cases, tracking may be ineffective, as in studying hard rocky terrains or tree-dwelling animals, but tracking is the only method available to researchers in other cases, for example, when the model animal is too small to carry a GPS receiver. Our perspective is that the skill of tracking will never be outdated. On the contrary, it can be used in combination with modern technologies and improve this method. So now I would like to give an example of this using my own research. The topic of my research is the habitat use of a nocturnal desert viper called the Saharan horned viper. So this is a venomous snake that lives throughout the Sahara Desert. It is active at night and hunts rodents and lizards mainly from ambush. This snake was never studied in the wild before, so we had to collect some basic ecological information on its life, like how much vipers moved each night, when did they move, and when and where they were hunting. We also conducted some behavioral experiments and measured their speed and movement costs under different conditions. We answered most of these questions by using tracking alone, and this way was probably the easiest, cheapest, and least disturbing to the animal. For example, by following their tracks, we could note where the snakes were active, without having to come clear them or attach a GPS receiver onto them, so we made sure we did not alter their natural behavior. We also could distinguish between different behaviors like traveling and ambushing prey, so we could map where in their habitat they were engaged in each behavior. We could also distinguish old tracks from new ones fairly easily because the daily winds in the area clear the sand each day, so we could document daily travel routes of the vipers quite easily. We then combined this data with video analysis from night goggles and photo analysis of drone photos to measure all sorts of parameters concerning the snake's behavior. So some of the key findings of this research were that vipers moved around 200 meters each night. They did this mostly at the beginning of the night. They favored the middle part of the dune when hunting and were hindered by thick vegetation, but not so by the slope of the dune. All this information was largely obtained by traditional spoor tracking with only a bit of modern technology. So this was only one small example on how tracking can still be very relevant for zoological research. We have many more examples of that in our paper, and probably many more that we have missed. Our main goal is to encourage researchers to keep using tracking in their work, as it will never be outdated.